All right, welcome everybody. Welcome friends of Caveday. I'm Jake. I'm one of the co-founders of Caveday. And in case you've never heard about us or this is your first experience with Caveday, Caveday is the world's most focused community. We've got over 50 countries represented. We've led over 50,000 hours of deep work. And we've learned a few things over the last over 6 years about how people work. We believe that everyone can do better work in less time with fewer distractions if they're willing to make a few tweaks to how they work. So I'm going to actually do something that is kind of strange, which is that I'm going to ask you, where would you rather be right now? I know like a lot of us would rather be on the beach or out to dinner or watching TV on the couch. There's probably somewhere you'd rather be, and you can just chat that in. I know for me, I'd like to be somewhere warm. A sauna sounds nice. Yeah. Biking, hiking, the beach, collecting your lottery winnings. That's a great one. Barcelona, anywhere in nature. So because our brain wants to be somewhere else, the meta skill that we're going to practice today, I'm going to invite you to be here, to monotask, even if a part of you wants to be somewhere else. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today, the art and science of focus, of having our attention in one place at one time. It's likely that your brain will drift, and the invitation is to remind yourself, oh, I'm supposed to be here. I'm going to bring my attention back to this presentation. So we're talking about how to improve your relationship to work, and just like how do we work smarter. And I know that work over the course of a single day for me looks really different. So I'm guessing for the several dozen of you here today that work, when I say work, it means something different. Like we're talking here about like the repetitive tasks of administrative work. We're talking about being creative and making things. Work is also sitting in meetings and having, contact and communication and phone calls. This is part of my work. Maybe it's part of yours, which is presenting. And we're obviously going to talk about the reality that many of us face today, which is working from home, because working from home often feels like a little different than what it felt like going back to the office. Sometimes it feels like sitting on a couch and having snacks, and sometimes it feels more like this, which is sort of my experience working from home. There's a lot to distract us, and we're here to talk about all of it. It's essentially, how do we be more efficient and effective? How do we not waste time and be more efficient? But how do we also be more effective and work on the right things? Now, as a quick introduction, again, I said I'm Jake. I'm one of the co-founders of Caveday, and my background is in advertising and design. And I was a freelancer for many years, and I found myself about 6 years ago working in this office. And the joke that I usually tell is like, I had a desk here, but like I really didn't work here. It was so hard to work. It was so hard to focus. And it was really, I was struggling because I know that I'm a productive person. I know that I can focus. I have like a history of work experience that shows I can get stuff done. And it was especially challenging because the same summer that I was here and like really not getting a lot of work done, I was the most productive I've ever been in my side project. So I went to art school and I wanted to get back into painting. So I did a 100-day project. I chose the same thing to do every day for 100 days and I documented it. And my project was painting album covers. So I chose 100 of my favorite album covers and I painted them the size of Post-it notes, like 3-inch by 3-inch paintings. And at the end of the summer, I have 100 paintings, which, for any artist is like this incredible body of work. So I was like, why can I get this work done, but not get work done when I need to, when I'm paid to? And so I started asking myself this question. I said, okay, how do I get stuff done? And I asked my friends, okay, how do you get stuff done? I started really diving into this question. And I'm going to ask you, how do you get stuff done, right? Today's Wednesday. If I said, here's a big project, it's an assignment, it's due on Monday, how would you make sure that you got it done in time? Sure, you set a deadline for yourself. I'm going to read some of the chats that are coming in. Focus music, yeah, binaural beats is one kind of focus music. You break it up into smaller tasks. Wait till the last moment. Thank you for your honesty, Debbie. You make a to-do list. create a prioritized task list. Yeah, we got a lot of list makers here in the group. Ideally, you start today. I've led this workshop and asked this question enough to know that people answer all kinds of different things. I'm going to leave it to the last minute, panic, over caffeinate, stay up late at night, wake up really early. Yeah, Sean, Caveday. Caveday is a great solution for that. And what's really interesting is every time that I lead this, I get the same results, which is that everyone has a different answer to this question. How do you get your work done? And it led us to this singular insight that nobody ever taught us how to work. So think about that for a second. From the time you were in kindergarten through high school and college and wherever you're at in your career right now, nobody has really sat you down and said, here's how to make a to-do list. Here's how to use your calendar. Here's the best way to focus that is based on data and research and science. And so a little over 6 years ago, my friends and I came together and we said, hey, we want to start something. We want to create an environment where we can help people work smarter, where we can take this research and build an experience around it. And so we led the first Caveday. And we learned things like your brain can focus at its peak for about 52 minutes before it needs a break. And then we learned how to take breaks, and we learned how to integrate social connection and physical activity to energize our work. And now we run these caves online over 80 times a week. You can see our schedule here, but that's not important. What is important is that we're not a productivity company. We're not here to say work more and more and more and hustle harder. Instead, we think about this idea of improving your relationship to work. Now, your relationship to work is something that is, kind of strange. So let me break it down like this. Your relationship to work starts like this. It's in two parts. There's a give and a take, right? Just like any other relationship, I'm giving my time and energy and skills and experience and getting things back. I'm getting my paycheck and my health benefits. And maybe a portfolio piece or a case study I can talk about. Maybe part of my identity is wrapped up in my work. And this relationship, like any other relationship, becomes dysfunctional if it's only one way. If I'm only giving and giving and giving, and really I'm not getting time off. I'm not getting as much money as I think I deserve. I'm not getting, what feels of value. And it's also part of three relationships in our lives. We obviously have a relationship to other people, to our work, and then to ourselves. But we don't think about these three as independent relationships in our lives, but actually as interdependent. In other words, if I can improve your relationship to work and make sure that you finish all of your important tasks for the day, you can close your computer and go hang out with the people that you love and eat and sleep and exercise so that that energy can help fuel your next day at work. And all three of these relationships work together. Now, as any mission statement, this is sort of like an idealized version of how we work. The reality is that working from home often means that the boundaries are really blurry. I'm a parent, and I know that sometimes I have to be on calls while I'm watching my kid. There's a lot going on when it comes to working from home. We're running errands while we're in meetings, while we're trying to focus. I know that when you need to get your best work done, you're probably staying up late or getting up early in the morning. And that's affecting your own relationship to yourself, maybe your relationship to your partner or your roommate. And when we work from home, there are so many temptations around us. The couch is right there, the TV, the refrigerator, they're all there to distract us, or it feels like that. And it can often feel like a really hard truth, which is that, hey, our brains stink, right? Mine too. It always wants to look for pleasure and avoid pain and seek out that dopamine. And there's a problem with that, which is that there's something that I have right near me that is designed to tap into that. Our phones are designed to take advantage of our brains, right? This data actually is pre-pandemic data. The new data shows that most of us unlock our screens about 150 times a day. Now do some quick math. You're up for like 16, 17 hours a day. We're unlocking our screens about every 3 to 5 minutes. And I love looking at people's faces when I say that, because nobody seems surprised. Everyone's like, yeah, that's about right. Oh, maybe I should check my phone right now. Please don't. But what happens is this leads to affecting how we work. Microsoft did a study that showed that the average focus time in the office is 8 seconds at a time. And that's easy to blame other people, right? It's easy to say, oh, I get Slack messages and emails and people come up to my desk, but it's actually our own brains that get in the way, right? I sit down to write an email. That's really hard. I'm not sure what I want to write. And so let me jump to a Google Doc. I know I got to just quickly edit that. And then, oh, you know what? The end of the month is coming up. Let me just check my bank account. I got to make sure there's enough money in there. And if there is, I'm going to go to Amazon and buy that thing that I was looking at before. And I might as well just buy the toilet paper that I need. And now I'm buying toilet paper when I just was writing an email. And we all do this. It's basically what we call shallow work. It's splitting up your attention among all the tabs that you have open, all the little ideas that your brain has, all the to-do lists that you have written down on your computer and in your head. And what happens is that if we spend our day doing shallow work, you end your day feeling like I've been busy all day, right? I didn't have a minute to spare, but I didn't get any real work done. So now I got to like catch up at night. I got to catch up on the weekends. And that's where we start burning out and having a really dysfunctional relationship to work. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, we have shallow work on one, and here we have deep work. Deep work is this idea coined by Cal Newport, who wrote a book called Deep Work. Maybe you've read it or heard about it. It's this idea of focus without distraction on a demanding task. Now, think for a second about something you want to accomplish in your career, right? 30 years from now, you want to, what? Start a company, launch a podcast, create a new product, double the size of your team, write a book, make a movie, something. That important thing that you want to get done doesn't happen in 8-second chunks. It requires deep work, carved out a little bit every day, a little bit every week, in order to get real important work done so that we can end our days feeling like, I got really important work done. I was busy. I got other little tasks done. But the more that we can build a habit of deep work, the more our real work gets done. And part of doing deep work is aspiring to reach a mental state called flow. Maybe you've heard of this too. It is an idea coined by a psychologist named Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, who studies mental peak performance. And it's this idea of being fully immersed in what it is you're doing, of losing track of time, forgetting to eat and sleep and go to the bathroom. You're just fully in it. And a lot of us have felt this when we're exercising, when we're dancing or playing music, when we're cooking or hanging out with friends. And the idea here at Caveday is about integrating flow into our daily work, not just leisure, because the benefits of flow are amazing. The quality of our work goes up. We generate more interesting, novel, and solution-based ideas. We learn about 3 times faster, and people in flow more often report being happier. We're going to go into the cave. We're going to try to create flow and hopefully leave today a little bit happier. The problem, as I said before, is that our brains stink. You can't just flip a switch and say, go into flow, start. But the good news is that because our brain is wired the way it is, we can trick it. We can create conditions for flow, and our brain sort of connects the dots and says, oh, I can click into that peak performance state a little bit faster. And we're going to do this together before we do our deep work session. This is what we do in the cave every single day. The first condition is definition, defining what it is we're working on. So I'm going to ask you to just take 15 seconds to update your Zoom name and include the task that you're going to work on. All right, I just put it in the chat how you do it. You go to the upper right corner of your little box, you click the 3-dot button, click rename, and at the end of your name, just add 1 or 2 words about what it is you're doing. And the reason we do this is twofold. One, there's a sense of social accountability that I can look at and see what everyone's working on. And it's really interesting. I know that people are like really doing important work today, so I better do my important work today. And the other piece is personal accountability. By saying out loud, I'm going to write that landing page. I'm going to outline my chapter. I'm going to do my schedule, whatever it might be. You're committing that out loud to yourself. And the invitation right now is to monotask, to keep your focus on that thing. Don't let your brain multitask. It will want to wander. And again, the idea is to catch yourself and bring your focus back. The second condition is time. We're going to go into the cave, let's call it between 20 and 25 minutes. I'm not going to tell you exactly how long because I want you to find flow and lose track of time. I'll ding a bell at the end. We'll come back. We'll do some takeaways and share some final thoughts. And the third is focus. So the University of Chicago did a study that showed that having your phone in front of you, even if it's upside down, even if it's on airplane mode, even if it's not a real phone, but it is the shape of a phone, can temporarily reduce your cognitive abilities. In other words, having your phone in front of you can make you temporarily dumber. Take 10 seconds, throw it across the room, out of reach, out of sight, put it on a bed, in a drawer. Don't even let your brain say, oh, this is hard. I want to look for something more fun and pleasurable. Where's my phone? Because that's what's going on in your brain usually. All right. Definition, time, and focus. These are the three conditions. We've got our conditions ready. The last thing we do to open the cave is a ritual. I'll explain rituals at the end. It's something that we do. It's sort of fun to open up the cave. What we're going to do is rub our hands together, and on the count of 3, you're going to clap. And that's when our work starts. 20 to 25 minutes. Right now, put your feet on the floor, sit up straight, and our work begins in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Stay focused out there, everyone. Right, cave dwellers. That sound means the cave is closing. Take just 10 seconds or so to just finish up your thought, or leave a little note for yourself to pick up that, how you're going to pick up that work again. There's always more work to do. So having that transition point is really crucial to making sure you're keeping momentum going. And the way that we close every cave is by creating a safe space to brag about it. We share our wins at the end of every cave, because when we don't check our phones, we don't check our emails for periods of time, our brain still craves dopamine, but we can find new ways to get that hit of dopamine and feel good. And one way to do that is by celebrating incremental progress. So in the chat, how did the last almost 27 minutes, I got to be honest, I tricked you a little bit. It was more of the time than we all expected, which is great. But how did it feel? What did you get done? What's a win that you can celebrate? All right, Robin, finished your project. Finally finished. Great. Just flowed by. Good timing. Woohoo. I got half the task done more than I thought. It was serene. Felt great. Felt awesome. Made progress. Got so far. I've been trying to work on it for weeks. I did none of it. Okay. I appreciate the honesty. It happens sometimes. We get sidetracked. Something comes up, more progress than I anticipated. Yeah, this is awesome. I want you to also check in with yourself, because part of improving your relationship to work is also to think about, how does it feel to get your work done right now compared to by yourself or in an office, or when you don't have this kind of structure and support. And so part of improving your relationship to work is saying, by creating this cave, by creating this environment, we're helping you feel better about what it means to just like go to work today, to be excited about that, to feel accomplished, to surprise yourself with what's possible. So I want to leave you all with 3.5 takeaways. It's sort of our cheeky way of giving you something that you can take with you today. So the first takeaway here is definition, which is also like a little spoiler alert that you know what the other ones are coming, and it's about reinforcing those conditions to get flow. But let me go a little bit deeper. So definition is not just about defining your work. It starts with defining your space. When you're working from home, if you have a place that your brain associates with work, it's easier to get into that work mode, and to also create better boundaries to say, look, work is not from the second I wake up till the moment I go to sleep, because when I'm at my desk, that's when I'm working. So anything that is a chair and a tabletop, not your couch, not your bed, because those are places that your brain associates with rest. And so when it's time to rest, if you've been working there all day, your brain gets confused, and it can still be sort of, your nervous system can still be a little bit activated, and it's harder to rest and relax. And if you have roommates, partners, family members you live with, to let them know as much as possible that like, this is my workspace. So we don't play here when my headphones are in, when the door is closed. As much as possible, I'd like to limit distractions. I'm happy to like do lunch with you and take breaks and meet in the kitchen and all that stuff. But creating clear boundaries and defining your space starts with that. It is about defining your work too. I mentioned before, nobody ever sat you down to do better work, to teach you how to make a to-do list. And so I'm here to do that today. Also, if you have questions, Molly, my co-founder, is here to answer some of them, and we should have a couple minutes at the end to do a little bit more. So let me come back to defining our work. Starts usually with like, what are you doing, right? What do I have to do today? You make this long list and you get it done. But we can make a better to-do list by asking ourselves 2 more questions. We can say, okay, now that I have all of my to-dos, how am I going to approach it? Meaning, what is the most important thing to get done today? Or what's going to require the most mental energy? And then also, when do I have the most mental energy? I'm a morning person, so I do my best writing and strategizing and like idea generation in the morning. I try to schedule that. And if I have, more social meetings or more administrative tasks, I schedule that in the afternoon. You can also ask yourself, what does finished look like? Part of that is separating the idea of having a project versus a task. If you have a to-do list and you have, write dissertation or write book or presentation is your task, that is not a task. That is a project that can be broken down into multiple tasks. And so when you have a clear idea of what does finished look like, meaning edit page 5, outline chapter 3, design slides 5 through 10, that's clear when I'm done. And the reason that we do that is because if you don't have that clear definition that this is a task that can be done, then we're sort of just always feeling behind. Oh, I didn't finish today. I didn't finish. I got to keep working. I got to keep, spending the nights and weekends working. And when you have a clear idea of, I finished my task for the day, you feel better about closing your computer and being done for the day. The next takeaway is about time. So we did this ritual, right? Because rituals create a heightened, elevated, magical experience. We think about rituals a little bit more when it comes to things like sports or religion. But what we try to do is create rituals because they create boundaries for us for time. So what you can do is, if you feel like you're waking up and you live at work because you work from home, what you can do is create rituals to start and end your work day. In other words, when I wake up, I'm just at home, and until I brew my cup of coffee, that is my morning ritual. That means I'm open to checking my email and available. And at the end of the day, maybe I brew a cup of tea, and that's my work day. Or maybe I go for like a 5-minute walk around the block, and that's my fake commute, but it's a ritual that bookends my day. My favorite example from someone in our community shared that she gets dressed, showers, gets dressed in the morning, and puts on her shoes to go to her work, right? Like her home office. And that's her morning ritual. At the end of the day, she kicks off her shoes, sort of like a Mr. Rogers type routine, a little ritual to say, if my shoes aren't on, I'm at home, I'm relaxing, I'm, exercising and making lunch and hanging out. And the same thing, right? We did our thunderclap to start and end the cave, because not all of our work needs to be deep work, but our most important tasks, our most important work requires some deep work. So if I think I just need 20 minutes of deep work, all right, I'm going to clear out all my space. I'm going to go on do not disturb mode, and I'm going to do a little ritual and start. And maybe for you, it's not a thunderclap. Maybe for you, it's taking a deep breath, repeating a mantra, putting on a playlist, drinking a cup of water, something like that. Our third takeaway here is about focus, right? Minimize distractions. And we use this phrase to monotask with everything that we do, because like I said, our brains stink. We believe that our brain works like this. You're just focused for a period of time, and you know what, I'm going to check my Instagram for 5 minutes, or my email or Slack or whatever. The reality is that when we're in flow, when we're doing deep work, when we're focused and we have an unintended interruption, basically a distraction that comes in, our brain wants to wander. It actually takes 23 minutes and 15 seconds on average for our brain to recover and find that focus again. And so the best thing that I can tell you to do, we can reduce that time if we just minimize our distractions, right? This is old data, 150 times a day. Put that phone out of reach, out of sight when you're trying to do your best work. Remove those distractions. I have a couple examples here. We have caveday.org/tools. I'll put it here in the chat. And that's got a list of plugins and apps and books and resources to help you with that. Some of my favorite include music for focus. Some of you mentioned binaural beats. Other ways to get into flow are white noise. So Spotify and mynoise.net are ways that you can find, white noise, brown noise, pink noise, basically sort of airplane noise, but on different pitches. But that helps you drown out any distractions and find flow. Brain.fm is music composed for focus, and Noisely is looping nature sounds. And that helps regulate your nervous system, make you feel more calm so that you're not sort of hyper vigilant and looking for every distraction, like when you're sort of squirrel, right? Like that squirrel mode that we get into when we start getting distracted, like everything becomes a distraction. I mentioned do not disturb mode. Hopefully you know how to do that. If not, on a Mac, you can go to the top right notifications panel and click do not disturb, and PCs have quiet hours, system preferences, notifications, and you can do that. And Slack is a big one for a lot of people, lots of distractions. You can go into the cave and turn on do not disturb mode for that. All right, 3 takeaways: definition, time, and focus, defining your space, defining your task, time, having clear boundaries on when you're going into the cave, when you're starting your workday, and then focus, monotasking, and removing the distractions. The half is to join us in the cave. We're offering 3 months of membership for only $40. Usually it's $40 for 1 month, but you can check out that offer at caveday.org/offer. Again, I'll put up our schedule. It's overwhelming. All you really need to know, this is East Coast time, so like New York time. All you need to know is basically from 4:30 in the morning till almost 11 at night, or to 11 at night. There's, what's the math on that? 18 hours of caves, over 120 hours a week of caves that you can join in 1 hour and 3 hour sessions. It works exactly like you experienced today. You join a Zoom room. There's a facilitator that will invite you to sort of get settled and then join a breakout room to check in. What are you working on? Maybe what are you leaving out of the cave? Some sort of, establishing check-in. You're going to do your work. And then after each session, you're going to take a break. So the facilitator will invite you to stand up, stretch, do a little dance party, do things that are proven to create energy and sustain your focus for longer. Thanks for the testimonial, Amanda, longtime cave dweller. I just want to end and say that we use this analogy of going into the cave because for hundreds of thousands of years, humans have gone into the cave to shut out the world and do their best creative work. And so no matter what kind of work you're doing today, tomorrow, in the future, I hope you learned how to do it in the cave. Thank you so much for spending your last hour with me. I hope that you learned something. At the very least, you just know to put your phone away when you need to do your best work. Hopefully more than that, and hopefully we'll see you in the cave. Again, I'll put this link up. 3 months of membership. We lead them just like this, and you can also hire us. Like we run workshops like this and more for teams, and we'd love to help you and your team do your best work and improve your relationship to work. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. If not, we'll follow up with that link and with the recording. And yeah, we're just grateful to have you here today. The slides, I don't believe will be available, but you can get them from the recording. Brown, white, and pink noise are all basically the same idea, right? It's like, think of like being on an airplane, like just, like white noise. They're just at different pitches. So brown noise is a little bit lower. Think of like a deeper pitched fan, and pink noise is a little bit higher pitched. How do you handle the computer distraction? Great question. There's lots of recommendations on that tools page, caveday.org/tools, to block the internet. So my favorite tool is freedom.to. And basically I can like set up my list of sites that I want it to block it from, and even apps. If I say, don't let me open Slack, don't let me open Zoom or whatever it might be, I set this list ahead of time, and then I can say start session for 20 minutes, for an hour. And then it's technically impossible for me to unlock that. I'm blocked out of those sites until the session ends. Can you recommend a digital organization system or a to-do list system? Yeah, lots of lots of tools also at caveday.org/tools. I use Notion. I know a lot of people use Asana. I think Sunsama, I've heard great things about that. That's helpful for time blocking. Trello is also helpful. Taking breaks. Is it necessary to do something simple or basic like going outside, getting a glass of water to give your brains a break, or simply not doing the thing we're monotasking on? It's kind of a complicated answer. The simple answer is giving your brain a rest from the thing you're doing is the most important thing. We lead a whole 60-minute workshop on breaks and energy. The longer version has to do with like your nervous system and how your brain works to sort of rest. Can I comment on solo caves? Yeah, for members, we offer a tool called the Solo Cave, which is basically a form that you fill out, and then there's a video that guides you through a 20, 30, and 45-minute cave by yourself. I think it's really helpful. We're trying to create opportunities for people to get work done on an on-demand basis in the same way that is focused and monotasking. So, sometimes you just need to start at 40 past the hour, 42 minutes past the hour. That's what the Solo Cave is for. And it's helped a lot of people. We get people, dozens and hundreds of people using it every week. When's your next workshop on breaks and energy? Great question. We don't have anything scheduled. We have the content. So maybe if there's enough demand, we'll do a public workshop on that topic as well. I want to recognize that we're past time. So if you are back to back, sorry that you're late to your next meeting. If you have some time between now and the next break, you've been sitting and working and listening and learning for the last hour, stand up, take a break, walk around. Again, thank you so much for being here. We're going to send the follow-up shortly, and you can respond to that with any questions that you have or requests. And we're so grateful for you to be here. So thanks again. Hope we'll see you in the cave soon, and have a great day. Have a great rest of your week. Bye, everyone.